Hey friends, it's Gina. Thanks for tuning in to the Rebookery channel. Today I'm going to show you a peek inside a journal that I've had since about 2014. It's a Popular Mechanics book that I found in a thrift store. I removed about half of the pages and then went through and glued pages together to make them thick. This journal started off to be an art journal where I was doing lots of experiments with art and painting and different techniques, and then it turned into a scrapbook. This was when I really started to change my scrapbooking from the traditional 12 by 12 to more of an art journal. In this book, I like to call this the No Rules Scrapbooking because anything goes.
So this is all out of order, and this is all just pictures, random bits of my life around this time period, but it's also stuff from a long time ago. So the first page here was just, I left all of the pages with their blank or with the text that was already on them showing through. I might have added like a wash of gesso, and then I used a lot of bits of papers like wrapping paper, paper from other books, envelopes, and then just doodled. And then these just happen to be some little pictures from my Instax camera of 4th of July on 2014. Then the reason why I call this no rules is because the very next page is a picture or a spread about my youngest son when he was probably, oh my gosh, 5 or 6 years old. So it had nothing to do with this. This was probably back 2006, 2007. So much before this time right here. But that's how I scrapbook. I just find pictures that I like, pictures that I remember, that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that day, and I'll just decide to put them in my scrapbook and journal about that day. Or just, for me, I don't like to journal a lot. I'm not very good at writing, so I practice, I try to get better, but to me, the picture and the images are what my scrapbooking or my journaling is. And that's perfectly okay. You don't have to be a person that sits down and writes enough to fill a whole page. You can have other things that speak to you. So a lot of the images I have are things that speak to me, that can tell the story that I'm trying to tell. So this was just a day that we went and we were walking around and he was catching bugs. On this paper, on this page, I used tissue paper, and I just glued it on, did some stamping, added some stickers, an old book page, and then I put some tape on it. This page was a page, some pictures from my older two children in 1999. This was my daughter's birthday. It was her 7th birthday. And again, just has nothing to do with this. It was just some pictures that I saw, and as I was going through, I keep all my pictures in tubs, and I was like, you know, I love these pictures. I want to tell the story of that. So the funny thing about this one was my daughter got a strawberry shortcake doll, and she actually looked like strawberry shortcake that day. Her hair looked really red when she was 7 years old. But this was the original text popping through, some tissue paper, and then just me writing. And I think I just wrote with a pencil. I put some stamps on there and some vintage playing cards. Then I went to more modern pictures. So this is just a picture that I took of myself. There's a picture of my husband and I. And then these are just some doodles that I had put on the page, and you can see the text coming through from the original pages. I did, if I remember correctly, and I can tell right here, I did glue 2 pages together in this book. So once I removed about half the pages, then I went in and I glued pages together, and it looks like I sealed the edges with tape just to make them thicker. But I had found this tissue paper from a store called Anthropology, and this is what they wrapped whatever I bought from that store. They used this tissue paper. So I put it on here, and then loved the pattern so much that I just continued it with my pen. And then these are just some random scrapbooking stickers that I wouldn't have used in the traditional sense, but when I put them in an art journal, they seem to take on a whole other meaning. My text that I have here is not really about either one of these days. again, I'm not a big journaler. I wish I was, but it's just, I don't know. I just have trouble when it comes to writing down words. So what I did was I put some song lyrics from one of my favorite songs, which is Dear Prudence by the Beatles. And so I just, I added some of those song lyrics, and then a paper doll clothing. And I think this was a photocopy. I don't think this was actually an original piece of paper doll clothing. Then totally changed to something very different. This is a paper or a page where I just have a book page, like a children's, excuse me, a children's book page over top of the original text. And then I just painted around it, added some wrapping paper, and then just some of my own artwork, and I just cut out some pieces from it. Looks like these were, this was a map, and I think what it was whenever I'm doing art, I put paper down on my desk, and then I'll cut up that paper later, so I think that's what these pieces were. But these are some small little pictures of my youngest son being a goofball and sliding down the stairs in a box. So this was in 2014, so he was in middle school at this time, and then just a sticker. This little page right here was about his name. This was a picture I took of him probably about that same time, 2014. But his name is McCabe, and we call him Mac. But people that don't know that will call him Maccabee, and so I don't know, we always laugh about that. And then I just found this vintage game piece that says "Give a Boy's Name." And I wanted to document that because we always think it's funny that people call him all kinds of strange names. Then I kept going with this theme of my son and found a picture of him from probably like 2009. And the theme with him when he was younger was that he was always dirty. He still is. I mean, he's just always sweaty and dirty, and I mean, he is a boy's boy. So that's what this was about. I found this picture. He has dirt on his face. His hair's all sweaty. His feet are all disgusting and dirty. He's got a soccer ball. His clothes are dirty. And that is typically him. Like almost every picture is like this. So I just wrote that on here. I took some pages from a vintage dictionary and stuck those down, and then just added a little bit of pencil work on here. And then just kind of journaled about, wrote down here, look at the dirt on his face and his feet. Then this page, I found this wrapping paper at a thrift store, the same thrift store I got the book at. And I just thought it was the sweetest wrapping paper, and for some reason it reminded me of my daughter when she was little. So this page really kind of started with this wrapping paper, and then it went to me adding paint, and then me pretending that I could draw. And then I found just a picture of my daughter just in one of the tubs she just had this cute little smile on her face. And so I added that picture, found a couple more pictures, started to tie it all together because of the wrapping paper and just her sweet disposition. So I said, she is my strawberry. And interesting enough, she had some of these little plastic animals when she was young, and one of them's name was Strawberry. So that's kind of how it all tied together. And I didn't plan it, it just worked that way. Then over on this side, I kept the color theme the same, and I found a picture of when she used to hide in the cabinets when she was really little. And so I just made a little fold out with some scrapbook paper that was the same colors as this, and stuck a little picture in there, and then put what she used to say, which is "There I am." And then of course the produce stickers, I love to add those. This page, also about my daughter, but this was about my daughter in 2014 when she was doing an internship for college. So again, no rules. Here I have a picture of her when she was like 3 years old, and then one where she was like 6 months old, and then I've gone all the way to where she was, 21, 22 years old. So this page was just the blank, or the page that was from the original book, and you can still see the text and the illustrations. And then I just started slapping down just some paper. There's some more of that vintage wrapping paper and some stickers. And then I have a lot of cats because this page was about her doing an internship at an urban farm here in Kansas City. And she would take pictures all the time of all the cats that would hang out at this place where she was every day. And we would always laugh because we think cats are silly. So I had this wrapping paper of cats. And so I just cut out all these pictures of cats and put them on there. And then because she was working at a farm, I put all kinds of produce stickers on there. And the funny thing was that she did very little work at this place. She was bored most of the time. And so this was an image transfer that I had done with some matte medium, which is, I love the effect that it gives, but oh my gosh, it's hard work. So this was just a picture that I had gotten off of the internet. And I did a matte medium transfer of a girl, and she was talking on the phone. And then I put a little speech bubble that says, "Hi, I'm bored," because she spent most of that summer being bored. This is a continuation of my moon obsession. This was when we had a total lunar eclipse on April 15th at 2:31 a.m. 2014. And so being obsessed with the moon that I am, I had to document it. And while I love pictures of the moon, I think it's fun whenever I try to document the moon to create my own moon out of either art supplies or I really like just random things to be able to turn it into the moon. So this was just a scrap piece of paper that I had done some drawing on, and I turned it into my moon. So for this page, again, I just gessoed lightly over the original text. And I had taken some scrapbook stickers that I knew I would never use, and they were just kind of, they were these little strips and they had phrases and stuff on them. And I knew I would never use them in the literal sense that they were supposed to be used. So I used them as, I just put them along the side and turned them into like houses or buildings. And so while they still have the phrases, because I turned them around and I have them going and turned them into something else, I'm not getting that literal meaning from the stickers, and that's what I love. I don't want my pages to be literal. I want my scrapbooking pages to be something that you can sit there and look at and you can read so much into it. You can find all kinds of different little clues or different little pieces that go with the story. And if I feel like a page is too literal, I stop and I walk away from it. And I go and I find something very random or very abstract or something that has nothing to do with it and try to tie that piece in. I just can't, I don't know why, but I just can't have that literal, that's just not me. That's just not what I'm trying to portray in my artwork. So for this, I made a paper house, and I had drawn stick people of who went out and watched the eclipse. So there's a picture of me and my son Mac and my husband and our dog, and then there's a picture of my daughter sleeping and our cat because they didn't go watch the eclipse. And my other son was at work, so I drew him over here because he was working nights at that time, and so he wasn't with us to watch the moon. These guys right here, these bird illustrations, I don't know if you can see these or not, but this was an old worksheet that I used to use a long time ago, and I turned it into a not a packing tape transfer, but a contact paper transfer, where you take clear contact sheets and you basically do the same thing, soak it in water, and then the ink will stay, but the paper comes off. So that's these. And the reason why I have birds is because if you look over here, it says the birds were sleeping quietly. So while we were outside, we couldn't hear any birds, but I could hear the cows in the farms next to us, which was kind of cool because it was dark, the moon was awesome, it was pretty chilly that morning, and there were no birds, but I could hear the cows.
So I'm going to stop with this layout right here. I'm going to pick up with a part 2 video where you can see the second half of this journal. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.